Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved, the water had already hit our ankles in the house. And so I grabbed my purse and my little pug dog, and my husband grabbed the dog food and put it in a trash bag, and by the time we got out into the driveway, it was already waist deep, and there was sticks and that kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to make it, but we did make it out, and we made it to the top of the road, and we were kind of stuck there for hours because we couldn't get out any of the ways because it was flooded all the way around. It took us hours, and we sat there, and finally it receded enough to where we could actually get out. It was probably like close to midnight, and it started like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. We just lost everything that we had. Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days. So. Thank you.
Okay, good. Would you like to say something with that beautiful baby?
Say hey. So when the hurricane storms hit North Carolina, hit our home, my daughter and my wife and I were actually out of town. But unfortunately, my dad was still at home, and my mother was staying at our house with our animals. And the waters got so high that it actually lifted between that and the tornado that came through, or microburst is what they've been calling them, and lifted his home and the house that I grew up in and crashed it into our barn. It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going. And my mother was trapped in the house, and there was no way to escape because the water got so high. The only thing she could do was ride it out and wait till the waters came down. So we've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with flood insurance and homeowners insurance, but since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things. And again, we've been having some issues with trying to get some payout for our insurance in a timely manner. We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much. You know, again,
they give you the money they have to give you?
I'm hoping so. And we need some assistance with that. We reached out to an attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
You got to move it, right?
Yep.
That's terrible.
That's what we're after here.
Are a lot of people having that problem too? With the insurance companies, general, different insurance companies, and they're all difficult, or just the one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and a lot of folks are.
Responsive?
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves, but in my case, you know, they'd send out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received.
And he got fired?
And then he got let go. Yeah, he got fired. So then they brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us. We've not received any kind of, so the flood insurance is our primary insurance, and so there was roof leaks in the home that the inspectors found, the adjusters. Well, that contributed to us losing some of our personal property as it come in the third story where there's no, or second story living space, where the flood water, well above the flood waters. So they've neglected us for.
Is your mother saved?
Yes, she's safe.
So
Yep,
you wrote it out?
she's right here.
Okay.
So we made it.
That was not exciting, right?
That's right.
How scared were you?
Very.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.
You didn't think so?
Nope. I just started praying.
So you were sort of on a boat. Your house became a boat.
It's a big pontoon.
That's some story.
It was a
Would you
beach
like to
house
say something?
on steps.
I'll bet this guy would like to say something. I can tell.
I was next door to the house, and my son was out of town, so when he came in to Charlotte to my sister's, he called about 2 in the morning because at midnight the water was still in the stream, within the banks. So when he called, the water was coming up, so I started moving vehicles up to about 5:30 in the morning, and she was in the house, and I pulled up to the steps, and I said, hop on the fender and I'll get you out. Well, he built a beach house on stilts, 5 times higher than the floodplain. And she said, well, he said I'd be okay. So I'm staying with the dogs. So I went to higher ground with some vehicles, hers included, and the water covered everything. But I'd already seen it come around both sides of my place. So I got my blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables and took up off the side of the hill behind my house, and then was heading to the cemetery back there because I knew it was open, because there was trees falling and uprooting. It was raining.
You never saw anything like that?
No, I've been through floods
There's never been anything.
all my life around there. Never nothing.
Never been anything like that.
Mm-mm.
But you're okay, right?
Yep. House destroyed.
Yeah. Well, we're going to help you out. We're going to help you out.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Anybody else? You guys okay?
Our day that morning began a little taller with some trees falling into our house, which our house is goes back 4 generations, 80 years, and never came close to flooding. And we woke up with trees about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and our house sits 3/10 of a mile back off the road, and the water, we've had flooding and such in the lake, but nothing like we saw. And like most everybody else, we moved 5 vehicles as far up, and lawnmowers and everything else, and the water started coming in the house. And when it got up to about ankle high, we have a loft. I got her up in that and tried to gather what you might want, which was totally random. And then when it made it to the loft and started getting up to about her hips, I built a little makeshift ladder, and we got out on our roof. And we spent 4 hours on the roof. I had a little baggie. I did notes on my cell phone to my 2 kids and my 2 grandkids, and something to identify me in case we were lost in it.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No, we're.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to make it at all. I mean, our house was 25 feet underwater.
So you didn't think you were going to live?
No, we were watching houses, trailers, bodies coming by us. And we live in the Azalea Road area in East Asheville, O-Team. Yeah, we watched our garage float by.
You just lift up.
Yeah. But, we got to a point where it crested about 4 feet up on the roof. We took about 3 or 4 hours for it so we could kind of do everything in reverse, and got out in the mud to higher ground. And I got out higher ground up to a subway and got over to her daughter's house, where when she saw that I didn't have her, she lost it. And I was like, she's okay, she's alive. And we tried to make our way back in there and gather things best we could. But, found a body right away. There was about 8 bodies in our area that first 2 weeks located. And we were lucky we weren't one of them, and blessed. But like other people, no insurance on flood insurance, so we had to depend on FEMA. They did what they could do, and of course it's not enough. Yeah, that's crazy. But again, we're thankful to be alive, but it's a long haul.
What are you doing now?
Staying in a camper. I've never been, if y'all notice, I'm a big guy. I don't sleep in campers very well. And the first night we spent in the camper, very grateful with the Asheville Dream Center coming through with one. And
Do you still have the land?
oh yeah, it's family land. Yeah, the land, it looks like a beach now. It's sand, but
Can it be built on?
yes,
Do you intend to do that?
yes.
You want to build again?
Yeah, Samaritan's Purse. We're working with them. We're working with people. It's 80 years 4 generations.
But the house is totally gone.
No, the house is there. It's
they
down
got
to,
it.
yeah, they came in and mudded it, but everything in it was completely destroyed. But yeah, it's tough. I think we're at a point in Asheville where people's forgot about Asheville, and it's stagnant. Everything is stopped. You know. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Pastor Nick's, our church right down the road. We had only purchased in May, and it's a big church. We're a small congregation, and I had people say, "What are you going to do with this big building?" And I said, "Only God knows." And we had our dedication, and the storm came the next week. And the outpouring of people, my son brought the first load of supplies, and from there, I stayed there for about 3 months. I slept on the floor for about 3 weeks because the need was so great. The people were so devastated, and I said, I want to be here for them. And they were coming in just day and night, so there's really no need for me to go home. But we had people from Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma, people from all over. We have not received any help, like from the government or anything. But I said, Lord, if you want us to do that, people
So they came from
all over the states.
But FEMA did nothing.
It was
No.
it was the
FEMA's
locals.
wasted time and money.
The locals and the people that knew us. And before the week was over, our church was so packed with supplies we couldn't even walk. Even in our sanctuary, it was up to the platform of things, and in our halls and in our rooms, and we're just now beginning to get a little straightened out. But somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle, I had a little lady come up, and I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee? And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there, and tears just poured. She said, you don't realize how important that the little things. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things, and knowing that God is our source. I don't look to man. I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter. Doesn't matter, because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good. He's very good. And my daughter now, her house is really in bad shape, and I'll let her tell you about that. But thank you, President. This is our president. We appreciate you so much.
I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina, and near the Back Cave, Lake Lure area. And our area was hit. It was hit really hard. I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her and make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like at a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come. And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles, and it took him a really long time. And he got there, and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we got to go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no. He said, we got to go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who, she had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been she had been in the waters, and where she had went, or I don't know, but it horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. You know, my son's like, Mom, you're going to see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. You know, I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called and called and called FEMA. And, you know, I said, this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us, today is still September 27th. You know, we haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that, honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. You know, it's just, and as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's just, it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. You know, I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because, you know, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. You know, when you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, you know, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. You know, I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of Mom. And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader. Smart.
He really is. To hike in.
How would you have been if he didn't come and get you?
I don't know. I'd just would have been there because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do is just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, to get, you know, maybe what we needed or something. I don't know. He is. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to be here. We're going to be working with our congressmen and women, and they're going to do a job. And Michael Watley is going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done.